Hi, plant people, and welcome to the second season of the Plants by Wade Lee podcast. I'm your host, Wade Lee. Do you feel emotionally connected to your plants, as if in the process of caring for them, they as well are caring for you? We will have in-depth conversations with plant experts, authors, entrepreneurs, and plant personalities. Join me as we dig deep and experience the magic of plants. Hi, plant people, and welcome to the second season of the Plants by Wade Lee podcast. I am with Brian, known as Anthurium Papa. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you for having me, Wade.
Of course. Let's just jump in and get started right away. How did you start your plant journey?
Man, it started with my mom and her joy of nature and taking me out and just enjoying all of it. So predominantly, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, a Washington area, Anacortes, which is just a tiny little island. No further development from the, I believe, 1980s on. So you're not going to find any new McDonald's. You're not going to find any new structures from the 90s on, which it's gorgeous. It's like it's stuck in time. So around that whole area, it's just surrounded by some of the most gorgeous, just evergreen forests. One of my most cherished memories is just going to local Japanese gardens there, because many local collectors and even state-sponsored gardens will have beautiful koi gardens, will have bonsai gardens. So that's where it started right there, was the love of koi, the love of bonsai, the love of Japanese culture, the realization that this tree that I'm looking at that looks like a mini forest is actually as old as many forests, is 50, 150, 200 years old from several dynasties ago. It blew my little mind at the time. I think I was probably about 8 or 9 years old when the realization truly sunk in. And the passion just blew up from there. My mom and I started building ponds in our backyard, building ponds for friends, raising koi fish so much. I loved them so much that I ended up getting koi fish tattooed on myself. So
So cool.
I absolutely love koi fish so much. So that's the pinnacle of where it started and grew into a love of veggies and a love of growing food myself and seeing that you can be productive and grow veggies that you love and actually get them better. You get this realization that everything you're buying in the store is picked early and it's not at its peak flavor. And once you have that peak flavor, you can't go back. You can't go back. It's like having real lemonade versus the Minute Maid. It's just, you can't go back. You can't
It's
go back.
true. It's so true. I know that's like one of my favorite things is to see one of those red cherry tomatoes in my garden and just pick it off the vine. There's
Yes.
nothing, you can't buy it in the store like that.
No. No, and I would grow peppers. I would love growing peppers, and I'd pickle my peppers. I'd make my own pickles. I would go fully into how can I not only have this new fresh flavor, but retain that flavor and go further into it. And then inevitably, it came into moving to Florida and finding that tropical plants grow so well here. And this is pre-pandemic, and then mid-pandemic, I really started collecting here and there, philodendron, and then all of a sudden a queen anthurium tiptoed her way into my life. One that I saw at Ecuador greenhouses, and she's actually on my Facebook profile. I'm sitting next to her, eyes closed, just like glory, like literally like a 2.5, 3 foot leaf. Like,
Amazing.
started everything right there for the anthurium, and just really made me want anthurium. And I made that first step of buying a pallidiflorum, and that was everything. That's a long strappy leaf girl that we all know and love.
That's so awesome, Brian. Did you go to schooling for horticulture?
No, my extent. I took a botany class in college. It was a very in-depth botany class, and it just created an even deeper will to want to understand what's going on with these guys, why they do what they do, their small little reactions to how we treat them, to the environments that we put them in, to the soils that we put them in. So it made me want to go deeper into it. So it's naturally, I just want to do my own research. I'm very scientifically minded, very constantly doing experiments. So it's the classic, running the experiment with several seedlings at once is what I truly love. So that's
Yeah,
what got
and
me.
different substrates and
Exactly.
yeah,
Different substrates, different fertilizers, not fertilizing one versus fertilizing the other. It sounds crazy, but I have some babies that literally I've only used one fertilizer their whole life. It's the Tazula MSU fertilizer. It has everything practically you need in it. Our main concern is that CalMag. That's in it. It's all in it. I have plants that I've grown with that day one and are beautiful. And then I have ones that I absolutely spoil. I'm throwing 5, 6 different products at them. I'm just absolutely spoiling them. So I love just messing with little parameters, and seeing and observing, and just that's observing. That's living and observing. That's my biggest thing that I do in life.
yeah. And the process, I was talking to plant addicted Cass,
Yes,
and I adore
love
her.
her.
She has a
I love her.
beautiful Anthurium collection.
Absolutely.
And had really said, Wade, the process of creating seeds and being able to cultivate the seeds is not that hard of a process. You just gotta make sure that you get enough of the pollen onto the stem. And it's so interesting because I think that in my mind I'm just like, this is rocket science, and
Right.
I can't even keep one alive, and I live in Florida, let alone create a whole nother genre of plants because you've married two together. And that's the other thing too that I think is phenomenal is you can take two different plants, create a new plant, and you created that. Like, it's
Yes.
so cool.
Yes, I love that. I love just following those babies and going through that whole process. But yeah, the actual steps of it are very easy. Bugs do it
Yeah,
inadvertently. They're just
right.
eating the pollen and going for the sweet stuff on these inflows, and they just have it stuck on their body. Bees do it inadvertently. It's not complicated. What's complicated is just as you said, keeping that mother alive, keeping
Yeah.
that mother happy, making sure you're consistent in this very inconsistent, crazy world that we're living in, where you have 50 bazillion things to do, staying on top of that mother, because anthuriums are very finicky.
Yeah.
Keep them in their parameters, you keep your consistency up, and they will be happy. They'll love life. They'll
What
be
have what
they'll
have
be
you
dark
found to
beauties.
be the best routine for you?
I found that it's a combination of substrate and just being on them every day. Just literally just checking on your babies every day. But my substrate I found has been the key to my success. I've tried, again, experimenting. I'll run several different consistencies even within my substrate, which is a tree fern, perlite, orchiata bark mix. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's my two being the heaviest ratio, tree fern. The next two being put together, perlite, orchiata bark. I try to keep those two other the one aspect, the perlite orchiata bark, the same size. Try to get the same ratio. The coarse, I believe it's 3/8 size for the orchiata. So I'm keeping those all relatively the same. And as well as once my mothers get very big into that flowering phase, I'm keeping a tray down below. That tray is very crucial once you start getting very tall pots. It's gonna be it's not gonna dry out correctly if you don't have any moisture being introduced on the top and bottom. So I have a combination, and people ask me, do you top water or do you bottom water? I both.
Mhm.
So I'm lightly watering the top to make sure I'm getting moisture retention on the top, and then I'm doing a tray on the bottom with only about an inch to about a quarter inch of water on the bottom. And that'll make sure that that moisture is meeting in the middle, and make sure that the moisture is also coming out at the same rate. We're not getting uneven distribution of moisture draining, as well as good pots.
Yeah.
Crucial to have a good pot with good drainage. I like to treat these guys like orchids. You already know orchids love air. They love having access to air.
Right.
Anthuriums are no different. Anthuriums are literally the birds come eat the seed off the mothers. They get taken up to a tree or higher up in the canopy, and that's where a good amount of anthuriums are growing, in that upper canopy, still covered by a lot of light like that, but still. That's where a lot of your babies are growing. Your paldiforms, your longleaf babies, they're exposed up in those tree canopies.
Yeah.
A lot of time they don't have soil to access, so they're just literally out because that humidity is so high in the jungle. South American jungle is 90 plus
Yeah.
humidity, 100% humidity. So they're able just to just be free, taking all that moisture that they need directly through the roots in the air.
Right. And they spread out like an orchid too. They
Mm-hmm.
have thicker roots.
Exactly.
That's so
Exactly.
interesting. What about self-watering planters with your anthuriums?
I'm currently experimenting. I have an issue with the meter ones because over time you're using your nutrient solution. That nutrient solution has calcium buildups in there. It has certain in there. You see it when you water on top of your plant. It builds up on there. Eventually, it's gonna lock that little meter up. And you're gonna be like, "It's full. I'm good to go." For at least another couple days, when you don't realize that down below it's completely dry. So you have to be extra diligent. So I do not like those. What I would prefer is an open window on the bottom so I can see my water level. What I would prefer is a good wick system with a high quality wick, not just a nylon wick, a high quality, thick cotton, most of the time thicker than what a lot of these pots are offering.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that that water is coming up, getting into your soil, and you're not getting weird dry spots. Because if you're not using something like pond, which is very readily wicking, it'll pull it up constantly. You're using my soil, which you can. You just want to make sure you have a much heftier wick, in my opinion. Just for my
Interesting.
experiments as well.
Yeah. That's so interesting. How did you get started selling your anthuriums?
Well, it got to the point where I had many babies, and I met a local by the name of Barry Schwartz. If you don't know Barry Schwartz, you need to know Barry Schwartz. He is an amazing human being who instilled even more passion for everything beyond Anthuriums. His grand tour, if you ever get to go on it, please, if you're ever able to visit Barry, please do. He'll give you a grand tour of his what's called Barry's Jungle. It's his Instagram, Barry's Jungle, or Jungle Barry, Barry's Jungle, I believe it is. But he is the purveyor of the Monstera mint, the true Jungle Berry mint. He is the purveyor of the Blue Velvet, the Ace of Perps. So yeah, he's found and named many beautiful anthuriums. His greenhouses are absolutely incredible. So he's
Where
what
is
gave
it,
me that
Brian?
second. He's local to me and here in Florida. I believe it's Tampa, Florida, basically, just outside of Tampa. But yes, if you follow him on Instagram, you reach out. He loves guests. He loves showing everybody. He loves giving the grand tour. He loves palms. He loves cycads. He loves everything. He's not just the Anthurium guy. He's not just the Monstera guy. His passion is boundless, boundless, and he's got some of the most rare species of palms I've ever seen. He's got a giant prehistoric palm that is literally 4 stories tall, and the fronds are 4 stories tall. Like absolutely incredible. The spear that comes out, because when palms come out, they have that huge
Yeah.
spear that comes up. Well, this one is massive. Like you can hunt whales with the thing. Like it's massive. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And his passion when he talks about it is unreal. So I met
So
him.
cool.
I got some seedlings from him because he is very generous. He just here. That's not anytime I go over there, I'm just like here, I'm gonna give it back because I love you. But he gave me so many, and I had so many. I was just like, I'm gonna join a Facebook group and see if I can just let go of a couple of these babies just for fun.
Yeah.
Before you know it, I had larger mothers. I was producing seedlings. It's the passion meets needing to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then before
Well,
you know
and
it,
I love
always
that we're always growing and learning because
yes.
up until yesterday, talking to Cass, I had no idea that they can produce like 200 seeds.
And that's a low batch. That's a low
That's
batch.
insane.
That's a low batch. I've got a crystallinum that will regularly produce about 6 to 800.
And then from that, how many do they all survive for you? Or, I mean, now that you've been doing it a while?
Yes, I would say just in general for all batches, it's about an 80% germination rate. Super high. It's just, and they grow quite quickly once you get them into the right environment. It doesn't really take a lot. Proper humidity bin and some tree fern, keep it nice and evenly moist, and they start sprouting before you know it. But yeah, you run out of space very, very quickly with these guys when you have large seed batches like that. It's not like a philodendron where it takes a very long time for them to mature. Literally, you're putting 6-7 years into a philodendron in a good environment. Same thing with a monstera, before they throw fruit, before they're flowering, before they're able to reproduce. Anthurium, I can get most Anthurium species, like a crystallinum, to go from seedling to flowering mother in about a year. And that's perfect environment. Feeding them every single watering, that's myco. And again, myco, the benefits of myco are just incredible. That bond between myco, between, you know, that soil and myco and the roots and the mother, it's a match made in heaven. The myco allows nutrient uptake. It breaks down anything that's bothering the mother. It's beautiful. I love that. I love that combination. I learned about that early in the Pacific Northwest with their massive mycology system that keeps that whole forest alive. Then you learn about it further in your whole jungle system, that it's even deeper, that the amount of breakdown, the amount of just fungal breakdown that happens in a rainforest is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-boggling. And that's why the ground dwellers anthuriums, your bigger, your regales, your large growing, your bird's nest anthuriums, they're constantly going up and up because you have so much leaf litter falling, that their leaves or their roots are constantly getting activated by that leaf litter, which is what you need to be replicating with your anthurium. You shouldn't have any upper root system that's just like striving for something. Cover that root system up. Get it covered up, and you're going to get aggressive root growth. There shouldn't be any upper root system, Sean. Take that tip, and I guarantee your leaves are going to go crazy.
That's a great tip, Brian, because there's times where I'm like, oh, like an orchid, I'm like, it's growing out. It wants to be exposed, but you're saying no.
No, it's wanting, and I'll show a great example right here. This is an example of what you really don't want to see your anthurium doing. All these little nubs in here are unactivated roots. If I were to up-pot this and get this into a proper size pot, I would see even larger leaf grouping. That's what our main goal is, to see each additional leaf needs to be larger. And it not necessarily needs to be, but is indicative of a happy anthurium, of an anthurium that is freight training. She is happy. She is cooking. She's getting everything she needs. If we see the same size leaf, well, you may miss something. You may mess something up. If we see a smaller leaf, get in there. Figure out what's going on. Something's going on. You've got some root issues going on. You've got a watering issue going on. So they tell you. They're very outwardly spoken for the most part. As you may or may not know, anthuriums are quick to take out that lowest leaf. That is her pulling energy from that leaf and putting it back into her root system, putting it back into making new leaves. And that's indicative of an anthurium. Don't freak out. It is okay. It's not like your philodendron.
So cool. Yeah, I have a few anthuriums. I mean, I went through this phase where I would see them on Pinterest and Instagram of like hundreds, just, you know, in a very curated, beautiful home aesthetic. And I'm like, oh my God, I need that. So I spent a lot of money and got a lot of anthuriums and killed a lot of anthuriums. But I have a few that, 4 or 5 that I planted in my yard. You know, like I said, I live in Florida. So, and they're thriving. I mean, they're underneath the little huge colocaceas and outline ears and big palms, and underneath all the little monsters they're sprouting out. And
You're like, creating an understory like the jungle. Absolutely. And they thrive in that. They thrive in that. And what's interesting, and what I really also want to get out into the community, is that if you're buying anthuriums from large greenhouses, and this is not throwing shade on any large greenhouses, this is simply saying that if you're buying from large greenhouses, you need to change that soil if you're not living in Florida and throwing it outside. If you're planning on keeping that greenhouse anthurium that was grown in a greenhouse, grown in greenhouse soil, you're going to take it into a lower humidity environment that's completely different light, completely different humidity levels, inconsistent. You need to change that soil before you lose her, because I have seen too many, and very awesome, reputable awesome greenhouses that grow large species very well. But you change her up, you change that environment, they get pissed off. They
Yeah.
need a different soil mixture. And that's what I found is the tree fern, the orchiata, the perlite. That combination really does well at letting her breathe, letting her kind of, take that moisture back and forth as she needs, and
Yeah.
not get the guttination, the overwatering issues, the underwatering issues that you see with a lot of these denser soils that you see in greenhouses, which they need those because that humidity is so high. The moisture transfer is so high. So they
Yeah.
need that. They need it to hold there for a little bit longer. So that's my
Well,
best tip that I can give somebody.
yeah. What about transitioning them into more ambient spaces? Like,
Yes, absolutely. So I have a tried and true method for that. It is a moment in time. It is a moment in transition between your newest leaf hardening off. So, see, beautiful new leaf, harden it off, nice and dark. We know good to go. The following leaf is just going to be poking out on that cataphyll there. So you've got your petiole cataphyll down at the center there. Your leaf is just going to start poking out there. That is your transition point. Now, if that leaf has fully poked out, don't do it. You're going to lose that leaf. What I would suggest is not doing the philodendron method of cracking the box and letting it, air out a couple days, taking it down. That works for some and many plants. They need that drop down. For anthuriums, they almost need to be in whatever situation you're going to put them in
gonna be in.
now. They are able to adapt very well. They may throw a bottom leaf, like I was saying earlier. They may basically sacrifice that lower leaf, pull the energy out of it to get used to its new environment. So if you hit that key moment at any leaf development point, and I've started that as soon as 4 leaves, from seedling to 4 leaves, throw that into an ambient environment. And ambient is starting at about 45%. So if you're below 45%, please do not throw your little 4-leaf baby out into
No.
your ambient environment. She's not going to do very well. 45 plus. After that, your goal. You hit that little range. I've had 100% success rate, no issues. Before, after, you're gonna lose that leaf, but she's gonna
Yeah.
be fine. She's gonna
Yeah.
settle.
Yeah. I love how it's so true too. It's just like I'm gonna release this energy
Mm-hmm.
so I can like prepare for the greatest, the better thing in my life.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
a great metaphor for humans, for us humans too. Like
Exactly. Why
sometimes
tiptoe
just
into
gotta,
it? Why
yeah,
tiptoe into it? Put
yeah,
yourself into the situation so you adapt quicker.
yeah. How many how many plants do you have in your collection? Do you have more than anthuriums?
I have more than anthuriums, absolutely. So I have monstera, philodendron, I have orchids, I have cycads, I have, you name it, I probably have it. That is the joy, as you already know. Living in
Yeah,
Florida, we have the awesomeness of
the
just throwing
means
stuff
too.
outside
Yeah.
and letting it just thrive. So yes, I have an outdoor anthurium garden that's split in half. So it's anthurium one side where it practically stays in the dark the whole time. Under shade cloth, and then the other side is a sun-loving philodendrons. Go down a little bit, and then it's sun-loving caladiums. That's my girlfriend's collection. Move a little bit down, then it's basically just a full-on mix of everything else.
That's so awesome.
Philodendron row. I have a whole like monstera area where it's all under trees and it's all monstera gloriosum. Looks like a little fairy garden. Gorgeous. If you need to be on the next live, the Thursday live, get on that one. I will do a tour for you
Okay,
so you can
awesome.
see what's
Yeah,
going on.
I would
It's
love
really
to
cool.
see it.
Really cool. But additionally, I have an indoor tent which has all my more sought after mothers, my mothers that need a little bit more higher humidity, like beveps, dressler eyes, things like that.
Yeah.
And then I have my ambient room, which I'm sitting in, which is an ambient grow room, multiple microgreen grow racks. So it's just simple 200-watt tube lights that are growing most of my babies. They're not very high energy, they're just very bright. And anthuriums love that. They love bright light, but not very intense. Because
Yeah.
again, they're lower. They're in the lower column of the jungle. They don't get a lot of light, very dappled light. So always keep that in mind. They don't like the full light.
Yeah.
But additionally, I have in the living room, I have ambient babies. They live in even lower humidity than in this room here, about 40 to 30% humidity. Loving life as well. Flowering mothers in there. Multiple rooms of anthuriums and philodendrons and monstera. So I'm very passionate about tropical plants in general. Even cactus. I've got a couple cactus, succulents. What is it? The not predatory plants. We're both
Carnivorous plant.
carnivorous plants. Yes, I have some pictures. I freaking love those. Pinguiculas is actually the only thing that like I've consistently killed and now have gotten the hang of. I don't know if you've seen those before. The pings, butterworts, the little sticky leaf guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god! If you have a issue with fungus gnats, throw one of those around and they will.
Really?
Yeah, in your prop
Amazing.
box especially. If you have a bad issue in your prop box of fungus gnats or in your tent, throw those all around your tent and they just literally the fungus gnats land and they oh no, oh no, I'm stuck. Yeah, and then it sucks the energy out of them. And it's just this cute little pink guy. Let me show you. Let me show you.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, I would love
right
to
here.
see it.
They're freaking adorable. They're probably one of my favorite, just random little cuties. Who camera
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Put more of the.
There you go. Right, and they get once they get under bright light, they get this really cute pink tint. There's some that have purple tint, but they just grow in sphagnum moss. You keep them under a regular grow light. The
And this
more
is a
intense light you put
carnivorous
them
fruit.
under, it is. Yeah, it's called a butterwort or pinguicula.
It's beautiful.
Right, I love it. Carnivora sells them. A couple of the other, the bigger guys sell them as well. I'm sure you can find them online, pretty much everywhere. They're adorable. Love them. They replicate super well. You pull a petiole off just like a succulent, set it on sphagnum, and replicates. Boom, done. So cute.
Cool.
Right?
Have you taken a tour with Aquagenera?
I haven't taken a tour with them. I've just basically just rummaged through their Florida greenhouse.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
are you referring to like the one in South America?
Yeah, in
Oh my
Ecuador.
gosh.
Yeah.
A dream. A dream. That'd be a
Yeah.
literal dream of mine. That would be so cool. I'd even just Barry did a tour recently with just I believe in Costa Rica. Like
Really?
I'd love to go to any forest and jungle like that and just be like, wow. Even if I don't see an anthurium, like I'd be totally soaked. I think Plant Gay for Life just went to was it Costa Rica as well or South America? I
Yeah.
don't know which one, but he showed us some Winlingeri that was absolutely gorgeous in their natural environment and just educated me even more about the angle of light, even though they're high up in the story, because those are one of the highest ones. Strapleaf anthuriums, they're usually up in the trees the highest. So when they get the most sun initially when they're seedlings, and when you grow those as seedlings, you notice that they're like, why am I not seeming like I'm giving it enough light? I'm blasting it, but they're stretching. It's stretching out, stretching. I'm like, why? And then you find out these guys are in the very upper story. They are trying to basically be in the highest portion. So when they grow, they're getting smacked by light all day. But as they grow, they get strap leaves. They go hang down, and that angle that they create almost takes down the amount of light they're taking in by a good 70 to 60%. So it then takes what a high necessity of light then to the regular necessity of light for anthurium. Low light, dappled light, angle. Just because of that angle, I was like, whoa! Just it opened my mind even more that plants are so smart that we just don't
Yeah.
see it because they move at a different speed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Do you have any projects that you're working on that you can share or that you would like to talk about? Is there
Yes.
anything that you're
So
and
I
are
get a
you
lot of
going to
questions.
IAS?
Yes, IAS, of course. I will be there. I will be at IAS. I'm going to be there for the first day and the dinner, of course. I don't foresee myself being on there for the second day because I'm going to be there early and I'm going to knock it all out. So I'm very like I'm going to knock it all out in the first day. I already know. But I'm looking forward to meeting everybody there as well as what was the first question?
Any projects that you're working on?
Yes. So I get a lot of questions on my care, on how to care for them. Well, you've got beautiful dark babies. They're growing so well. They look so healthy. They've got so many leaves. I want to create an ebook or a book or some kind of care guide that's in levels that you could get in at any point, completely online. That you can just be like, okay, I'm a novice. I'm a beginner. I'm at the mother phase. I need to know how to pollinate. I need to know how to be consistent with these mothers. I need to know care for them. I haven't really seen anything like that. So I'd like to take advantage of that using my care routine. I feel like it would help a lot of new people. I feel like it would create a lot of confidence in a realm of tropical plants that doesn't have a lot of confidence, unfortunately. Because people they treat them like philodendrons. They put them in regular soil. They put them in cocoa, which is so bad for these guys. For some odd reason, you can put it in philodendrons and they're okay. You put it with the anthuriums and they just get so mad. They start turning yellow. It leaches too much nutrients from the babies. So they're so hungry. They're hungry guys. They need to be fed with every cycle. So that's another one of my best moves is feeding them every cycle. But additionally, I'd like to do a YouTube as well. So
Very cool.
Just general goofing around, doing plant stuff, being my weird.
Yeah.
I'm sure you see my lives being just mad goofy.
And with that, where can people find you on social media?
Yes, Anthurium Papa, just everywhere. Anthurium Papa. You can find me on Palm Street. You can find me on Instagram. Those are my two areas that I hang out the most.
And when do you sell on Palm Street?
Typically, I am on Sunday at 8 Eastern Standard Time, and then Thursday at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's a little brunch. No, 8 p.m. I apologize.
8 p.m. No, it's good. I just wanted to
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we're jamming out at those times. I do brunch with Papa on the weekday, and then my end of the week wrap it up on Sunday.
Yeah, love it. Where did you come up with Anthurium Papa?
I think it's that I feel like I give a level of care and a level of attention and just a level of nurturing from seed, even before that with mother, that I was just like, I am father to these plants. I am papa to these plants. I just feel a passion that's so deep for them that it's on a like a parental level. Like I remember each one of these babies when they go out. Like when I see them reposted, I'm like, I remember you. I remember your face. I have a very photographic memory when it comes to that. I'm very detail oriented. So when I see them pop up like that, I'm just like, yeah. Awesome.
It's so cool. And this is why I asked you to come onto the pod, because I saw your live on Palm Street and I was like, who is this guy? In my mind, I'm 45 and I look like a papa, and I'm like, who's this kid calling himself papa? And I hearing you talk about, even just on the live, and you can feel your passion, and this has been so wonderful. I've loved this, Brian. Thank you so much. I feel your heart, and I think it's so cool. And yes, Anthurium Papa, like that should be your name, and I'm so glad that is that it's something to be said about caring for plants and the humanity and how we treat others. And I can feel that with you, and I just can't say enough about how wonderful that is. So thank you so much for being on the pod.
Oh my God.
I would love to have you back.
I'd love to be back. I'd love to be back.
You
cool.
Give so many great tips. I love it. I know that a lot of listeners are going to rewind, write it down, because it's great. I mean, and for me too, I learned so much. So thank you. I love
it. And that's what I encourage on my lives as well, is please stop. I'm not here to sell you plants. I'm here to wiggle a little bit, and I'm here to just figure out how I can make your experience with these, what seems to be complicated babies, not that complicated. They're super easy. And if I can accomplish that with even just a couple people, and they'll be like, yeah, look at how much better it's growing since you told me to do this, this, and this. And I'm just like, I'm so geeked. It makes it worth it for me. Even if I didn't have any more of these guys, just knowing that I can still continue to help is so cool. It's so cool to give someone their passion, pass that passion on, and just like, yes, you see it now, don't you? You see how awesome these babies are. You see how much passion they can bring into your life, how that emergent is just so fiery and so just, it's so different. It's the genus, the species, everything is just, it's so different. That initial emergence, while so beautiful, is simply, and I'll leave you with just this last little awesome tidbit of information, why these anthuriums have these gorgeous emergents, these purple emergents, these red emergents. They're hiding. They're hiding from bugs that eat these leaves, these fresh, supple leaves. They go into these colors that do not appear on the wavelength of bugs. So they go under the profile until they harden off to their green color and are able to be resilient and strong and resilient to these bugs.
Wow, that is amazing.
Adaption, really cool adaption. So yeah, it's the passion and love for these deepens every day, every single day.
Yeah. And the emergence changed from like purples to silvers, right? And
Yes.
blues.
Yes. You'll have silvers just emerge out of nowhere. Like this one currently is just showing the veins right now with no silver. Eventually, that silver comes in and is shiny and gorgeous. It's that change that constantly something to look at with these ladies. Is just, I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
I love it.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And those listening on the pod on Apple and Spotify, Amazon, you can watch also on YouTube. So everything that Brian is showing, you can see there. So make sure to tune in to
Yes,
Plants by Wadley on YouTube, and you'll be
absolutely.
able to see that. Thank you so much. I can't wait to have you back.
I seriously can't. I can't wait.
It's awesome. So great. So have a great day, Brian. I'll talk to
You
you
as
later.
well. You as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You're welcome.